Well, in the hot seat today, I'm filling in for Scott Mitchell, so just be prepared, guys. Here we go. Well, we're talking about a new book with Oklahoma ties, A Question of Respect. It's an inside look at political civility. Joining me today, we have author Ed and Joe from the Oklahoma Institute for Child Advocacy. Thanks for joining me, guys.
It's a pleasure.
Let's first start off with, what is this book about and why is it so important, especially in this climate?
I actually wrote it with Celenda Lake, who's a Democrat pollster. I'm a Republican pollster. We've done a thing called the Battleground Poll for 30 years together. And through that, we've kind of watched the political environment, quite frankly, the environment in this country turn more and more negative, more uncivil in the way people deal with each other, talk to each other. And we just felt a need to kind of come forward and kind of we talk about the problems in a we voice, but solutions in an I voice, so we didn't have to come to conclusions together. But we look at things like cable news and the demagoguery on cable news and social media and super PACs and campaigns, things that are just stirring that pot of negativity that doesn't serve the country well, and certainly I think gets in the way for members of Congress, people in office, of actually creating solutions as opposed to just fighting.
Let's talk about the gubernatorial race in 2014. Joe, you were on Mary Fallon's campaign.
Right.
What did you all do to walk out of it at the end of it, not with, you know, the backlash with each other? You guys were civil at the end.
Well, I knew Joe. I had been governor of Oklahoma Intercollegiate Legislature when I was in college, and Joe came along, 20 years later, 25 years later, and had reintroduced me to the organization. So I got to know him before he ran against Mary. I was Mary's pollster, but also served as kind of general consultant to the campaign. So I knew Joe. I also saw the numbers. And I knew that there was no need to run a negative campaign, quite frankly. Sorry, Joe. And so I played, I thought, a fairly active role of saying, look, you know, there was one person in particular in the campaign that thinks you always have to be negative. And one of the things I always say to media consultants, people that always say that negative works, is so does positive. You ought to try it a while. And we've had some great examples of that here in the state. Yeah. James Langford, when he ran for the Senate, very positive campaign, never said a negative thing about his opponents. I think part of what we want to do is have campaigns like that, where you respect the other person for being in the arena, if you will, and have a debate about differences, perhaps, but not negative, and not go after the person personally. It just, there's no need for that in today's politics.
And Joe, you just wrote a review about this on your website. Tell me a little bit about that and why it was important for you to speak out about it.
As Ed said, we've been friends for 20 years. We had talked about that, and it was a clean race. And I've respected Ed for years, but I respected him even more after that race. And we've remained in contact through the years, working together on projects. And so he sent an advanced copy of the book for me to read. I loved it, and it struck close to home. And I wish everybody who is in politics could read this, but certainly it's a read for people outside of politics to understand the inner workings and to know Democrats and Republicans don't hate each other, and they shouldn't hate each other, but far too many just average voters think that you're supposed to, and that's what's part of the problem in the country.
And I understand what we're trying to say here. Just wrapping it up really quickly, I'll have both of you all say something. What would you say about the political climate? How do we change it in the future?
One by one. We've got to reach this younger generation and let them know we have to work together. It's all about finding solutions. You don't have to be in the middle, but you need to find consensus and come to the middle to find solutions that help the most people.
I dedicated the book to John McCain. I ran his convention in 2008. He was an inspiration to me. I was an Army brat, so there was a lot of connection between him and my father, who went to Vietnam, died of Agent Orange. We did, you know, we moved towards the end of the book to put youth in charge. But the youth were kind of, I'll be respectful of someone else if they're respectful to me first. So our ending conclusion is we need some leaders like McCain to stand up and show a pathway to civility so that they can light the way for the young people.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us this morning, and for where you can get your own copy of this book, or if you'd like to rewatch this segment, go to Your Vote Counts on the News 9 website.